Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome back to my YouTube video channel, guys. I'm very excited to have Dr. Jemery Drell in the house. The one of the most talented dentists that I ever met. It's an honor for me to introduce Dr. Jemery Drell, a general dentist with experience in investing with a business background. He raised rounds and generate return for investor at 10 companies, sold three and acquired two at the key operator. And, he done so much for industry. Um, I just don't want to take my time to introduce. I'd rather let you do introduce yourself, Jeremy. Please tell the my audience that who you are and what you are for the dentist.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate that kind introduction. Jeremy Krell, general dentist. I've been a general dentist for the better part of the last decade. I don't really clinically practice as much anymore. Really, I've focused on, kind of the startup side of the industry, the business of dentistry, if you will. I have about 18 years of startup experience, first in tech, then in health tech, then in oral tech. Some of the startups I've been with besides my own are Oscar Health Insurance, as well as Quip, the oral product company, and then kind of formed my own family office / management consulting firm for oral health startups called the Barchester Bay Group. And now I'm the managing partner and founder of Revere Partners, which is the first and only VC fund, independent and exclusively focused on oral technologies.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. Could you explain to the dentist like me, like why would a dentist like me would invest into a company like related to dentistry rather than go to a high tech company and just put money in thing like that. Uh, Help us, give us some information like your company, how does that help us to be more focused on what we know.
Yeah, so I think you kind of alluded to it right there, which is we all own our practices, right? Or have an ownership percentage in our practice. We own the walls, the patient roster. What we don't own is the stuff in the practice, right? And I sort of sit there and ask myself and encourage professionals to ask themselves, why is that the case, right? At home, if you use your AirPods and you use your Apple MacBook and you use your iPhone and you use your Apple Watch, right? Maybe you get some stock in Apple, right? If everything in your life is delivered by Amazon, your groceries, your packages, maybe you have some stock in Amazon, right? It's common in our personal lives, but we have a gap when we jump over to the professional side of the world, and we're really more concerned with our salary, and we're concerned with our ownership percentage in our practice. And when we sell it, what does that look like? But we forget about all of the stuff inside of the practice. And when you look at the stuff inside of the practice, there's really two ways to look at it, right? One way to look at it is the upside, right? Which is, as I continue to consume and use these products, I should be capturing the upside of the value, right? I'm constantly providing those companies feedback, whether you know it or not. They're watching, they're listening. So you might as well capture the upside of those products that you love the most. And then the other side of it is, the future of dentistry is really in the hands of the technology innovators in a big way. So if you want, that dialogue to be sort of written by and continue to be kind of self-regulated by the industry, then you need to have dental professionals and dental industry folks involved in the design of the oral technologies themselves, right? I think we've seen a few startup examples where others from the outside world have sort of come in and said, this is too many appointments, dentistry is not catering to consumer demands, so here's how we're going to do it, and we're going to cut the dentist out, right? If you want to see that kind of narrative, written, then stay away from oral technology. If instead you want it, if you want it to cater to the way that you think dentistry should be practiced, then, we all need to take an active role in technology innovation itself.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Would you share with us just briefly your journey? How do you get involved with the business part? Were you starting when you were just a young child in business, and how is your journey and your accomplishment I did grow to this now. I know that most people, if you look at your history, you have done so much. And how did you start it? Who influenced your business mind?
Yeah, it was just it was an itch that I had from a really young age. I had I had some ideas that I wanted to see if they had any legs. I wanted to get into owning my own companies and experience what that looked and felt like. So I just jumped in. I started with a web and graphic design company with a good friend, and we spun two companies out of it. And then I went to a luxury good and commodity service targeting college students, and we sold that 4 years later, and that felt good. And I learned so much more about sales, for example. And then I started my own incubator in Boston, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and I learned even more about the different elements of the startup process that they each need help with, from so many different industry perspectives. Then I went into health technology at Oscar and understood more about how the health insurance world works and how to redesign it in a way that's a better experience for patients and more efficient from a spend perspective, and how to manage hospital partners and their technology integrations. Um, and then went from there into kind of the professional side of Quip, and looking at how professionals view consumer products and some of these preventative dentistry products and how they work them into their practice and workflow and the models that really are sustainable in those practices. So just kind of continuing to scratch the itch, learning more and more as I go. I think networking and reputation such a key component in dentistry. So each startup, getting to know more people, working with more people, and trying to always deliver good results to them, building up rapport and trust over time. I think that was just so important in dental. There have been so many mentors along the way that it's frankly hard to count. I'm grateful for each and every one of them. All the folks that came before us, leading and paving the way in oral health innovation. So many different doctors as well as business folks in the area. And so it's super helpful, when you find others that are like-minded in the field and have had different experiences than you, that you can kind of tap into. And it's incredibly important and has been in the journey.
At the super busy person like you, do you have time for your family?
Yes, always family comes first. I have a wife and two young daughters. They are my biggest startups of all. So always family first, 100%. I think everything we do is for our family. Of course, the patient and the provider and everybody in the value chain, see value as well. But at the end of the day, always grew up very close to family.
Wonderful, brother. Jemery, can you go into the different with the two company that you involve most right now is Revere Partner and Rise Health, and would you identify the two different, like what are the different of the two company and how they can help each other and things like that, and your role in the company?
Yeah, I'm managing partner of both. Revere Partners is, the first fund that we started, and is heavily focused on oral health technology. And then Rise Health. Rise stands for Real Inclusion, Strength, and Empowerment. It's looking at health and oral health, so really getting at those oral systemic health links, for example. Um, as well as looking for women, LGBTQ, BIPOC, and true minorities in ownership and leadership positions in those startups. So it definitely has a diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) focus to it. So yeah, we really love supporting oral and health technology from multiple different perspectives, and plan to continue having investment products that fulfill that thesis.
Could you have a short presentation about Revere, how the company have the portfolio and the vision of the company, and the accomplishment of the company so far? If you can share with us, like within a short period of time.
Sure. Sure. I do have a presentation. Is that something you want
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the session here?
just a short, if you can, some of the thing that it could be summarized short, but some of the thing that it just helped my friend audience who follow my channel, they want us to know, the Revere partner, what they have done, and what the reputation is for it, they related to dentistry, uh, thing that nature, please share with us so my audience can have some idea, and they invest in different aspect, but this is something I talk to them and tell them can't wait to have Jemery on the show so we can share some information about Revere partner and how dentists should pay attention to this industry right now.
Sure. Yeah, you'll have to make me host so I can share my screen.
I will do that right now. Yes, that's it.
Perfect. Great. And let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep, it is right. It's up.
Perfect. Let's go into presentation mode here. So as I mentioned, Revere Partners, the first independent VC fund for oral health. I'm the managing partner and founder, and I went over my background. Our other general partner and founder is Dave Arena. He's our CFO as well. He now has about the same amount of time that I have at a hedge fund, and then into startups as a CFO. And we really came together, to think about the overview, right? There's so much innovation that goes on in oral health, but overall, there's less than ideal, capital flow. So our thesis was to improve the capital flow to this area, to meet the demand for oral health innovation and to be a bridge to large and organized dentistry, right? The large manufacturers, distributors, insurers, DSOs, who all have a lot to add to the innovation story, but often there's a missing connection point between them and the startup or the individual. We launched the fund publicly in early 21. We were in stealth mode for about 12 to 18 months prior to that. We established the largest database of oral health early stage transactions. And so that's something that we worked very hard to do and helps us day to day in our ability to diligence, especially financially diligent startups. And we look at this, the problem in the space from multiple different perspectives. Investors are often highly concentrated in real estate or technology or consumer products, things other than the space that they know the best in this case, which is oral health, or a diversified space if this is a new space for them, right? They tend to be clustered in all the same things over and over again as they invest their capital. The industry, as I mentioned, has a ton of innovation, but less than ideal capital flow. Startups, some of them thrived in COVID and some of them pivoted and some of them really struggled. So there's a new kind of wave of innovation that's out there now. And then patients and practices, patients are more and more demanding things that they see in other verticals. Practices, they're so clinically oriented. So that, builds this high bar for clinical innovations, but also leaves this big open gap for business innovations, right? So our solution was to create a single platform that, because it curates and diligences these startups, to a very deep level, is safe for all types of investors, from angel investors to high net worth individuals, family offices, funds, corporates, to be able to come in and invest in dental startups. The industry, and some of these numbers are pre-COVID now, but generally speaking, is about $180 to $200 billion spent in the US on the provision of dental care. That accounts for about 3.74% of total healthcare spending. So this is a well big enough industry. That doesn't count any of the products or services around the spending on healthcare. Insurance usage in the States has an interesting breakdown. These policies cover between $1,500 and $2,500 a care, which is something, but not the whole picture. It's a lot of procedures that individually outweigh the entire cost of the policy. So and in addition to that, revenue cycle management and all of its components, are fairly fragmented in dentistry. So there's a lot of this insurtech and fintech that have come about. There's a huge increase in consolidation of practices, probably about 22% consolidated today, could be upwards of 30% in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's important for startups because DSOs are a primary test ground where the startups go first to get a lot of validation and feedback and early sales. And we are becoming a more and more preventative industry, but we still are quite reactive instead of proactive. So lots in the prevention space and regeneration space. Our research, as I mentioned, based on over 700 companies now, we asked ourselves kind of four main questions. The first is, what percentage of all VC deals are healthcare inclusive of oral care, and is it increasing? And the answer is about 8%, and it is increasing. And then, another question was, how well invested in or underinvested in is oral health compared to the market size? And oral health is way underinvested in, even compared to parts of the healthcare services space, like health services or healthcare software or devices or equipment. So if you put $1 on some dental investment, where should you put it? The right graph is just a risk-adjusted version of the left graph. And you can see that putting it in private equity or is definitely a great investment, but dental VC still outperforms by a hair. And on top of that, there aren't about 81 firms competing over it as there are in PE. So what does it all mean? Kind of combining the strong returns and the historically underinvested in space, you end up with our methodology, right? Which is, we partner with startups early on. We understand what they're all about. We try to help them genuinely. We invest at what we call, oral health founder-friendly terms. We're not trying to mark them to, you're a tech, company, or a SaaS company, or a fintech company, and putting them at the expectations that are other companies in other fields, which could be a higher bar or a lower bar than where they're actually at. So we don't believe in doing that. We know this space really well. And then we enrich them. We provide them with a suite of about 20 plus services post-investment to support their growth. There's tons of recent activity in this space. It's hard to keep track of them, but there's constant transactions, acquisitions, investments, 2 or so a week at least, that are relatively large. And we look at, all different investment areas. We look at tech and diagnostics. We look at consumer brands, at biotech, at payments and reimbursement. Lots of different areas that that we go through. As I mentioned, our investment strategy, we actually do about 45% Series A. We probably do about 20 to 20, probably 30-35% in follow-on or post Series A, about 15-20% in seed. So these numbers shift from quarter to quarter, but are generally where we're at. So I hope that's helpful.
Yep, thank you very much. Information is important. The audience sometimes when we talk and we don't have the information available, I'm sure let's say if a dentist who have some vision about a company, how what would you suggest, and how would they go about to contact you guys, or how do they do that?
Yeah, you can contact me at jeremy@reverepartnersvc.com is really the best way. We take a look at startups and great ideas, at groundbreaking technologies. We also are very open to investment, and we can take people on to what we call a quarterly subscription basis. In other words, an automated call schedule, which really works well for dentists and doctors and folks in the industry, because it keeps them more liquid over time, as well as more diversified. When we invest in about 3 to 5 companies a quarter. So that's always an opportunity. And we work with people on, the dollar investment that's right for them. We just mandate the 4-quarter minimum component, so that we make sure that they get the diversification that they're looking for.
Your company also funded for a startup company, right? So if, let's say, what about the dental industry, like the DSO, they want to build a big DSO company, can they use your company?
Yeah, so we don't currently invest in practices at all. They can use the corporate services side of our company. The corporate services side of the company invests, but essentially serves the DSOs as a primary customer. So we help them with technology evaluations, pilots of oral technology, as well as, in addition to that, people retention strategies using oral tech equity. So we help DSOs quite a bit and work with them as clients and partners, but we don't necessarily invest in practices just yet.
Now, the typical investment of a startup company, like from your knowledge, whether it's regular industry or technology or dental related, how many years once we invest is considered the return of investment become like a profitable?
Yeah, the average, so now looking at our research, it takes about 4.8 years to reach about a 5.2x, right? And when we compare that against our team does it in about 4.1 years. So we're quicker to about the same return. Uh, so that's really the space. Internally, our internal rate of return at our fund that we target is a 33 to 35% IRR. So we are looking for pretty quick turns. Again, we've invested in 18 companies. One's been acquired. 3 are already in acquisition conversations. So we're very, very good at investing in companies with exits in mind, and that we can help with and that we can line up for them. And so those are kind of the returns that we should be looking for.
What so why the company can do faster than the other company? Is it because you have an expert team that tremendously helpful to build a system that you know the target and how you can who you work with, and those are the things that it help the faster?
Yeah, it's a great question. We leverage a few things. First, we have a 75-person team full of experts across the industry. We have about a 26-point diligence process that leverages everything from our database to a wide variety of proprietary algorithms that run within our tech stack that produce predictive analytics to basically inform us or guide us on how best to make investments that perform. So overall, we're leveraging all the knowledge and the people in that process in order to make the best choices.
I see. You familiar with the Keystone Bio?
Yeah, absolutely. Keystone Bio is a company we know well, and we actually have a webinar that I would invite everybody to join, where the CEO, Dan Sindelar, will be having a discussion with one of our venture partners, Dr. Ed Zuckerberg, and that'll be on Monday, the 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
It can be with anyone, or it had to be anybody who interested in investing. It can be any.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a meeting for people who are interested in investing. But look, we're always open to things that to when people want to learn more. We always have that door open. We think that there's a lot of different strategic opportunities that could present to a company. So we would never want to kind of close the doors out to that. That's always an option. So we really invite all to join.
Let me ask you now. Let's say the dentist invests into the Revere partner, put the money to Revere partner, and then let's say in a few years that he or she wants to sell that investment to someone else. Can he do that? The share.
Yeah, that's not usually so common in venture investments. Venture investments are really, you're looking for the 3, 4, or 5 year return, or it depending on the type of startup could be 5 to 7 or even 7 to 10. But depending on the type of startup that you're investing in, you really kind of want to hang in for the big result at the end. Is it possible that in an investment round, one of the investors buys you out? Yes, that's possible. But generally speaking, it's an opportunity where you kind of want to hang in for the big win. We do try to build in opportunities, for exits, for investors earlier than that, but it's not a bank. It's not as liquid as, those assets where you can withdraw on your own.
So generally at the industry and the world economy right now, what do you see dentistry technology in the next 5, 10, 20 years? Do you envision that technology and dentistry will be something that is going to be very different from now?
Yeah, I think it's continuously growing. I think it'll look so different from how it is now with innovations like AI, robotics, different, customized, personalized therapeutics, and so many more areas of innovation, in digital dentistry coming to the forefront. I think it's an ever evolving and changing space, very ripe for innovation.
Jean-Marie, it's been a wonderful, quick talk. I have a chance to learn about your company as well as my audience. In case that they want to know more about Revere Partner and how they reach out, what are the contact that you can provide for them to contact you or contact people that work for you?
Yeah, please contact me at jeremy@reverepartnersvc.com. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Excellent, Jeremy. It was an honor to really talk to you, Guy, and I hope the journey that you with your family and company gonna be wonderful and blessed. Thank you again for the quick podcast. You have a good day.
Take care.
Take care.